Good day everyone, I am Princess Camille Abatayo and I will discuss to you about the 18th century literature or also known as the neoclassical period. So our discussion's objectives are students are expected to know how the 18th century literature started. Learners will be able to name some famous authors during the neoclassical period. Learners will be able to identify some literary works of the authors. So, 18th century, it lasted from January 1, 1701 to December 31, 1800. During the 18th century, elements of Enlightenment thinking culminated in the American, French, and the Haitian Revolution. 18th century literature or the neoclassical period. The literature of this period includes observing human nature and nature itself, which were considered unchanging and constant. The age is also known as the neoclassical period. Writers of the time placed great emphasis on the original writings produced by classical Greek and Roman literature. So the literature in that era is more focused about Greek and Roman literature. It centralizes on the idea of religions and society. 18th century literature or the neoclassical period reflected the thinking of the era. It was the Enlightenment era in which philosophers, writers, artists, and scientists explored social status, political satire, and state of man versus the state of nature and social upheaval. So, this era, it is where the philosophers, the writers, the artists um, focus on the discovering the social status and some political issues and the state of man versus the state of nature and social upheaval. 18th century literature is also the authors during this period saw the world under a new light. The writers of this era gave more importance to social needs as compared to individual needs. They believed that man can find meaning in society, religion, natural order, government, and literature. So the authors in this period, mas nagpo-focus sila on the majority, on the social needs, not in the individual needs. Naniniwala sila na uh, society has a big part, uh, not only society but also the religion, natural order, government, and literature has a big role in a person's life or in a person's personality. 18th century literature has also a large number of literary works came out which included parody, fables, melodrama, rhyming with couplets, satire, letters, diaries, novels, and essays. More emphasis was given to grammar and etymology, or the study of words. For the sake of convenience, experts have divided this era into three sections. They are Restoration Period, Augustan Era, and Age of Johnson. So as I proceed, we will know what these three divisions or these three sections differs from each other and who was the founder of these periods. So let's start with the Restoration period. It starts from 1660 to 1700s. After the beheading of King Charles I, the monarchy was restored and so this period got the name Restoration. So before the neoclassical period, there is merong mas nauna pang era na kung saan yung literature ng neoclassical period ay inadapt from those literature. A new era had dawned with epic works such as Paradise Lost and Areopagitica by Milton and Sodom by Wilmot, second Earl of Rochester. It also saw a new age of both sexual comedy and wisdom, with works such as The Country Wife and The Pilgrim's Progress, respectively. While writers like Richard Blackmore wrote King Arthur, it also saw critics like Jeremy Collier, John Dryden, and John Dennis who gave a new direction to understand literature and theater. Poetry too was revamped and saw the beginning of rhyme schemes. The iambic pentameter was one of the popular forms of poetry, preferred by the poets and the listeners. Odes and pastorals became new means of exchanging ideas. The poems were mostly realistic and satirical, in which John Dryden reigned supreme. He further divided poetry into three heads: that of fables, political satire, and doctrinal poems. So when John Dryden reigned his supremacy, he divided poetry into three heads, which is the fables, political satire, and doctrinal poems. Doctrinal poems is more on society. You will find any spiritual bias, more highness, or philosophical in these poems, which became the signature style of the Restoration era. So, kapag sinabing Restoration era, it focuses more on spiritual bias, moral highness. It focus on your religion. Let's proceed to the Augustan Age, 1700 to 1745. The Augustan Age took its name from the Roman Emperor Augustus, whose monarchy brought stability in the social and political environment. It is during his reign that epic writers such as Ovid, Horace, Virgil, etc. flourished. So, um, the picture on the left side is Emperor Caesar Augustus. So, Emperor Caesar Augustus, um, the Augustan age came from his name. When when Emperor Caesar Augustus led the monarchy, um, he has the big contribution in social and political stability. Also, writers such as Pope, Dryden, Daniel Defoe, Swift, and Addison were the major contributors to this era. Those writers that I have mentioned, they have lot literature that they contribute to this era. Dryden attempts at satiric verse were highly admired by many generations. This era was also called the Age of Pope due to his noteworthy contributions. Next is Age of Johnson. It is on 1745 up to 1785. This era made its way into the literary world by stepping out of the shadows of its previous age. Qualities like balance, reason, and intellect were the main focus of this era. Hence, this age is also called the Age of Sensibility. So, Age of Johnson is the age wherein there is innovation from the previous literatures. Dito na nagsimula yung pagkakaroon, halimbawa pag gumagawa tayo ng literature, dito na nagsimula yung pagkakaroon ng balance, reason, and intellect. Yun, doon na nagpo-focus yung mga literature ng irang yun. So, Samuel Johnson, 1709 to 1784, gave a massive literary contribution which till date is a great boon to one and all. And that is the Dictionary of the English Language, which was first published in the year 1755. So, yun, Samuel Johnson. Napakalaki ng ambag niya sa literature na ating kinagisnan ngayon. Siya yung nag-imbento ng dictionary na meron ng mga revision sa panahon ngayon. So, in my discussion, I have mentioned the three section in neoclassical period or the 18th century literature, the Restoration period, the Augustan era, and the Age of Johnson. So, the continuation of this report will be continued by Miss Marhenio.
Good day everyone, I am Mylene Merhinio. from Besed English 3A. And my topic is about some authors of neoclassical literature and their works. First is Daniel Defoe, from 1659 to 1731. Daniel Defoe was a journalist and the author of histories and travel books, handbooks, and advice books. His nonfiction writing includes more than 500 books, pamphlets, and journals on various topics. One of his works, entitled The Life and Strange Surprising Adventures of Robinson Crusoe, from 1719. The story of one man's victorious survival on an uninhabited island. Next is Jonathan Swift, from 1667 to 1745. Jonathan Swift was an Anglo-Irish satirist, essayist, political pamphleteer, poet, and cleric who became Dean of St. Patrick Cathedrals, Dublin, hence his common sobriquet, then Swift. One of his first books is entitled A Voyage to Lilliput. A Voyage to Lilliput is a political satire of England was going through major political transformation. The second book is A Voyage to Brobdingnag. In this book, like in A Voyage to Lilliput, Swift engaged with the concept of size to enhance the criticism of modernity and demean Gulliver, an individual of age of enlightenment who takes pride in his individualism, subjectivity, in his accomplishment. Third book is A Voyage to Laputa, Balnibarbi, Lugnag, and Glab the Brave in Japan. The fourth book is A Voyage to the Land of the Humes. Next is Henry Fielding, from 1707 to 1754. Henry Fielding was an English novelist and playwright. Fielding was by birth and education an aristocrat. He was by temperament gregarious, by the experiments widely acquainted with men and women of many ranks. One of whose works was Joseph Andrews, the history of the adventures of Joseph Andrews and of his friend Mr. Abraham Adams, 1742. The story is about a journey home. Next is Tobias George Smollett, from 1721 to 1771. Tobias Smollett was a Scottish novelist, satirist, poet, and dramatist. One of his works is entitled The Expedition of Humphrey Clinker, from 1771. It is an epistolary from the travel writing. The traveler writes letter to the correspondents back home. Next is Lawrence Sterne. From 1713 to 1768, Lawrence Sterne was an Irish-born English novelist and humorist. He believed in the innate godness of man and was concerned with instinctiveness and emotional reactions of his fellow men rather than their intellectual pretensions. One of his works is entitled A Sentimental Journey Through France and Italy. It is a novel consisting of various episodes of a journey by Mr. Urick, a clergyman who travels through France.